to another episode of BestowCast. I'd like to thank you all for welcoming me into your head and just allowing me some space. I thank you very much. I appreciate it all. I'm trying to decide if I should call you guys like BestowCastians, Bestow TV Tronians, Bestow TV Tronians. I don't know how to address the fan base. Any suggestions? Leave your comments where you can comment. Comment your comments where you can comment. Sorry for whoever I just ripped that off of. I think that's a Joe Blow thing. So credits to Joe Blow for their thing I just stole. They're saying I just stole. So I did a thing last night. You know, we're a few days away from Christmas, and I did a thing. I don't know if it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. So over time, I had been accumulating. This is like 2 years of accumulating shipping stuff because for some reason, producer Paul had a bright idea that he enjoyed doing unshipping videos with Mr. Lobo. Although when we did unboxing and reboxing videos with Mr. Lobo, so we used to unbox them and then had our little hook, not really a hook, but our little catch where at the end something would have to be reboxed at the end. Time moves on, and we no longer had the time to focus that kind of stuff on Mr. Lobo. So I was trying to bring some of that over to Bestow TV. Bestow TV needs content. The YouTubes needs content from Bestow TV. My idea for Bestow TV on the YouTubes is for it to be a kind of a geek culture kind of thing. You got the cosplay, you've got the interviews, you've got the collecting, you've got the comics, you've got some odd person calling me in the middle of my podcast. Hold, please. All right, so I guess I have an extended warranty on my car now. But moving on. So the idea was that things were already coming in for my collection. So I was just gonna hold on to it, and then I would have, I would be able to have content, not necessarily weekly content, but there would be something that we could do at least like maybe a month or maybe every other month, or have something, or quarterly, whatever, something we could plan on and we could have fun with and stuff. And shit happens, I guess. Yeah, are we far enough into this that I can start swearing? It accumulated. Life happens. Other people need my services, so I end up having to do that. When we were kind of getting to the unboxing stuff, well, there was other things that would take more precedent. So, the unshipping stuff would kind of get pushed to the side while the other stuff would come forward. Mr. Lobo kind of said it was like he kind of felt like I might have been overworking myself just a little bit. Where I just had too many things loaded up into the canon. Is that the proper term? I had too many things lined up that I wanted to do, and to a degree, I was probably not accomplishing any of it, or maybe there was just too much in there. But I sauntered on. I just let the collection keep going, or the shipping boxes accumulate. So that there was always a chance, even if we just decided last minute to just do something, there was always something that I could drum up. I even bought like a dice tray or whatever, and we were going to do like a random game where it's like, oh, we're going to roll a 6-sided dice or a 20-sided dice or whatever, and it's in the shipping box. So for the past 2 years, all this stuff kind of accumulated. And I blame some of my friends for the shipping, for the idea not for the idea of the shipping on the YouTube, but just for pre-orders in general. I prefer to pull them off the pegs. I'd rather see them on the shelves and rather think, oh, this is the thing that I wanted. This is the thing I was looking for, and just kind of take it off the shelves and have that instant gratification. But when I started getting into the G.I. Joe line, that stuff is sometimes hard to find on the shelves. And, I'm not, there's other elements, including, what we used to call on Sleepless Knights, chronic diarrhea. There was the whole shipping fiasco. There's a lot of other factors, and I was trying to find, like, I remember, like, I was like trying to find, wasn't so much trying to find, but trying to get an idea of what was in the GI Joe line that I would be interested in, and just kind of like, oh, well, there's a Zartan coming out. Well, I'll keep an eye out for that. Oh, there's this. So there's this thing, but this thing's a GameStop exclusive. Oh, and then there's this thing that's a Target exclusive, and so on and so forth. And just kind of creating a mental list of things that I had to keep an eye out on. And it was getting frustrating because you couldn't find them, and they they came and went. They disappeared in obscurity. You ended up having to go to secondary markets, and people were just scalping them for insane amount of monies. And it's like, I don't want to reward scalpers for sniping everybody else. They don't really want to collect. They're just there to snipe everybody else. This is not a shot. This is not a shot to resellers, but it's you guys have to make a living. But it's like, for Christ's sakes, don't I encountered one of these people at a store. Sorry, we're gonna go on a sidetrack, and hopefully I remember where I'm at to go back to where the original point I was trying to make. But at the time, I was playing the Transformers trading card games, and they were hit or miss whether you could find them on the shelves. And the new set had just come out, and the Walmart that I was at was there. But I was kind of short on funds, and I was kind of back and forth of like, oh, well, should I get a few? Or, I'm never going to see these again or whatever. And I had like a couple packs in hand where I'm like, well, this is what I could afford. Let's just do this and call it a day. And then on my way, I was walking out, and then I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, I have better things to spend money on the time. There's other things that I need to take care of. I really can't really be buying cards right now. So I talked myself out of it, and I put the cards back in the box. And sure enough, there's some guy who's just wheeling around his cart, and he sees me carrying the cards, and he saw me put them back. And doesn't the guy just go over and swoop up the entire damn box and just take it all? And it's just like, oh, and it's like, I know what you're doing. I know you don't play the game. And it's like, you're taking this thing out of the hands of people that play the game, because the stuff is hard to find and the stuff is being scalped. And I know exactly what you're doing, fellow. So anyway, back to box apocalypse here. So I think the point that I was making before I went to a different point, before this whole goddamn thing got derailed, was, that it was hard to find a lot of these Joes that I was looking for. And my one friend said, well, that's the time where it's like, if you feel that this is something you're not going to be able to find, you're better off just pre-ordering it or ordering it online. And this is what kind of started this whole shipping fiasco, where it just ended up that I ended up pre-ordering everything, because eventually everything became a target, because eventually COVID happened, and the shipping problems happened, and everything else. So it just kind of ended up that very little was ending up in the shelves, and what was ending up on the shelves was being scalped. I mean, Christ, people were scalping baby formula and toilet paper for whatever freaking reason. Why do you got to be an asshole? So, at least, I can give some leeway on the toys, it's like, but just toilet paper and baby formula, come on, guys, don't be a freaking asshole. So it ended up where, I'm kind of pre-ordering the stuff because, my friend was telling me, hey, if you want it, you're going to have to pre-order it. And number 4, on the other hand, I was trying to produce a YouTube show, I was trying to generate content for a YouTube show. So, it was fine. Well, I could divvy the show into 2 different segments, where it was just an unboxing thing, where it's something where it's like, I found this on the shelves and I can just unbox that item out of the box, versus where I could kind of produce 2 shows where it's like, I'm unshipping a box. Yes, unshipping is our term. It's not a term. I don't know if I can claim to it, but it's a term that we use that I know is incorrect, but it's a fun term, and it's a fun thing to say. We like saying weird, stupid shit on our shows. We say reboxing too. So it's like, so in the other aspect, it's like, well, I can generate content because we can do an unshipping, and then whatever's in there, I can divvy up into their own separate shows, and we can do unboxings, and we can do reviews, and we can do, there's a whole mess ton of things that were going on that were going to happen to Bestow TV. So, all that stuff accumulated for 1 year, and then the second year, we kind of ended up with like the shipping delays. So like nothing really came. There wasn't a whole heck of a lot that came through at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year that were pre-ordered. And then here, like kind of like roughly around like Thanksgiving, I'm getting hammered by the 2021 shipments, the 2022 shipments, and then Hasbro's like, well, our investors aren't making enough money. We're gonna fast track the 2023 stuff, and we're gonna put that out there right now. I mean, I don't know if there's any other collectors out there that are seeing this problem where it's like, oh, now I'm kind of getting that stuff that I ordered a year ago. Now I'm getting that stuff that I ordered 3 months ago. Now I'm getting that stuff that I'm not expecting for 6 more months right now as well. And it's a financial mess. It's a literal mess because now all of a sudden there's just boxes everywhere. You may hear like some rustling behind me because there is a crap ton of boxes behind me, and the cats are having a field day. They're like, oh, there's a bajillion boxes here, and inside those boxes are packing papers and plastics and crinkly things, and they are enjoying themselves. They are having Christmas early. They're having catmas right now. So it was starting to add up to a problem. I'm starting to lose space in my studio, even though kind of shooting video right now is kind of halted, but it's still like kind of eating up that space. I want to start clearing that space so I can in 2023 in the new year. I kind of want to, my channel has been kind of suffering because I kind of had to step away, and I kind of want to go back to generating content again. But then there's other problematic things where some of the stuff that was in shipping, not all 100% of it was mine. There was stuff that was gifts for people for Christmas that I had to figure out where the hell they were, what boxes they were in. I had somebody, a friend wanted a Sergeant Slaughter, and I pre-ordered the Sergeant Slaughter at the time when I pre-ordered mine. That was in there somewhere. Spoilers if you've listened to this podcast and I just ruined your gift, but yeah, whoever you are, you're getting a Sergeant Slaughter. Merry Christmas. And then it was also the other problematic thing was that I'm not opening these damn boxes when I'm receiving them. Who knows what condition they are in? I mean, some of the boxes look like elephant sat on them. I get the Ace Ventura delivery men who drop kick their boxes on the way to my door. I don't want to pick on delivery drivers. That's actually kind of my side hustle right now. I'm kind of doing deliveries for Amazon, so I don't mean to pick on you, delivery drivers. I know the plight that you go through. I've worked for UPS once before as well. So, but God damn it, when I buy a bin and it has a big sign on it saying, please put the packages here. Please do not put them in the front of my door so that they can just get rained on, or we live in the woods, the wild animals just on the box and whatever else. Just please like put it in the delivery box, and every single time I come home and it's in front of the door. They walk by the delivery box to put it by the door. They walk by the thing that has the big sign saying, put packages here. And another derailment, but I happened to be home the one day when the guy was making delivery. I knew one of my exclusives were coming, and I was like, I'll go catch him at the door, and I'm going to ask them why the hell he walks by that box. And it's just like, I stopped him and I had a chit chat. And I'm like, you do realize that box right there is where you're supposed to put the packages. You walk right by it. Why do you do that? And the guy's like, well, I only put it in the box if the weather's bad or if the weather looks like it's going to be bad. So, yeah, I'm glad money was spent on this box to kind of keep my stuff safe. And you just do whatever. If I were to do that with Amazon and somebody were to complain, that actually goes against me. But, whatever. I don't know what the conditions are of the stuff inside. And because I'm waiting so long, I'm waiting to produce a stupid video that's never going to come to fruition. That is like, if things are damaged inside these boxes. Now, some of the boxes, if they looked like an elephant sat on them, I generally did open them. I opened them on a side that wouldn't show towards the camera, and then I just retape it if the contents were okay, or if there was items in there. If there was items in there that were meant for other people and weren't necessarily meant to be on camera, or unless the other people, sometimes people would or they'd be okay with me showing it on camera, but it wasn't for my collection. It was just something to show. I didn't mean to break the illusion, but occasionally I would open up a box if it looked really bad and I had to inspect the contents, and then I would just retape it. So yeah, it just kind of came to a thing where it's like, well, what if the contents inside are just like severely damaged, and here's like 2 years later, and I'm finally inspecting this stuff, and I'm out of whatever that thing is, or whatever the value is, versus like if I would have done it at the time, or if I would have made the claim at the time. So I'm happy to say that out of all the boxes that I went through, only one set of things got mangled. They are a set of things. They're I'll just flat out say they were the Star Wars retro figures. They were basically the Mandalorian wave. The bubbles are, some of the cards are bent and some of the bubbles are completely collapsed. And the box looked fine, so it was it probably happened at the warehouse. They just threw it in the box at the warehouse. It's not something that happened in shipping. Whatever, it's my fault for not opening it up at a timely manner. It's my fault for being a dumbass when it comes to producing YouTube shows, or not producing in this term. And I'm kind of torn about it because they're the retro figures, so I'm not 100% sure I was going to open those anyway. Like if they were crushed, if they were like the regular 3 3/4 line, there would be a good chance that I was going to open that anyway. But with them being the retro line, that's kind of the design of them. The retro line is kind of meant to be in package and displayed in package. But I just face facts. It's just going to have to be an unboxed thing. And well, hopefully someday, if you guys want it, I will do an unboxing video, and we'll unbox these vintage. Or sorry, not the vintage, the retro line of things. The retro line, if you don't know, and I know we're on the audio version of this podcast, so I can't really show much of anything. But the retro line, if you don't know, are the ones, and I don't know why this is a thing, but it's a line of figures that have less articulation. They kind of look like how they would have been, how some of them would have been produced. Although it doesn't work for everything, but how Din would have looked if he was produced in the 1970s. The reason why I say I don't understand how it works for everything is like they do it with like the G.I. Joes. And he's like, oh, here's how the G.I. Joes would have looked like in the 70s. However, the G.I. Joes had points of articulation. These things have like no articulation. It's like their shoulders move and their legs move, and that's kind of it. Kind of works for the Star Wars. It doesn't really work for the G.I. Joes. And the other thing that kind of drives me batty with the retro line is that for whatever reason, the retro line has a markup. So they're always more for some damn reason, even though you get less with them. So and like I said, and I think it's the presentation, it's them in the box versus them out of the box. It's not there. I don't think that they're meant to be things that are kind of unboxed. Considering like the price points of some of these things, I mean, for like the Super 7 reaction line, which the Super 7 reaction line is what did the G.I. Joes. The G.I. Joes are like $20 a piece for like these things, and they made a boatload of them. So it's not like, oh, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna get into it and get a wave or two. Like there's like freaking like 20 figures in a wave. Or that might be an over exaggeration. I think there's like 10 figures in a wave, and there's every and when it comes to like the generic troopers or whatever, there's every race on the planet that is represented in the troopers and stuff. So if you wanted a complete wave and you wanted every race represented, at $20 a pop for figures that aren't that are not have no articulation. I don't even think, like, some of them don't even have weapons. And like I said, I feel like the presentation is the whole package with them in the package. It's not them out of the package. I mean, that's kind of a deep dive. And Hasbro kind of jumped on that train, and they kind of did the same thing with the Star Wars line. And it's just like, well, yeah, I can get the regular 6-inch line that has all the articulation, has all the bells and whistles, and they're probably like, well, at the time, in my mind, maybe at the time they're a little bit more now. They're probably half the price of that. I mean, for a reaction GI Joe retro character for $20, I can also get the 6-inch GI Joe from Hasbro. So I don't understand who this is for. I guess this is for the collectors with deep pockets and don't really give a shit, I guess. So moving on. Last night I kind of just decided that, well, I've accumulated too much. There's too much here. I need the space, so I need to downsize. And I've just kind of accumulated too much that even if I were to do a whole bunch of boxing videos, even if I just did a 24/7 live stream, there's just too much for content. As far as analytics, I don't really want to get into too terribly much with the analytics side, but it's like for Bestow TV, for me, I don't really fare well when it comes to that kind of stuff. If I were to do it as a live stream, I probably fare a little bit better than doing it as a in-house, edited kind of piece. So I kind of feel like, I'm not 100% sure that there's interest there. So, again, it's like I don't know if I want to just throw a bunch of stuff out there if nobody really cares, if you're not really interested. And I also kind of feel like that I waited too long. I mean, that's kind of my mantra as well. It's like I wait too long and then I strike when the iron's cold. Because generally for that stuff to work on the YouTubes, it either has to be like almost first in line, like you're like as soon as you get it, as soon as you're the first person to get it, because people want to see it, they want a review of it, and the nature of the show is that particular show isn't the unboxing. That's just like, oh, what surprise! Here's what's in the box. So it kind of fails on two fronts, where it's not really a review, and it's not really and because I'm waiting too long, it's not really top of mind. It's not, when the collectors would be actually clicking on the video, and everybody else would have beaten me to the punch. Most people beat me to the punch anyway, because there's a lot of reviewers. They have advanced copies, so it's like I'll never get there. Not to compare myself to other YouTubers, but the other the other end of that spectrum is that it either has to be, you have to either be first in line and have it, have it when it's like fresh, or then it's the other way where it's like it's almost like a complete I don't know, 180 maybe. I don't know. 360s and all as a full circle. I think the 180 is just the kind of the total opposite end of the spectrum. I don't know. I don't know if I'm using that right, but anyway, the other area is that it has to be older and almost re-entering that nostalgia bubble in some way, or super rare that not too many people can find that kind of thing, or so it's like my other thing is just like sitting on these packages for like 5 to 10 years and then opening them, and then there's like all of a sudden there's interest in it because it's not new, but now it's 10 years old, and what's in this box? And I'm not sitting on these damn things for 10 years. That ain't happening. So I made the executive decision. I'm like, I just need to go through these boxes. It may help me in the editing end of this thing. It may, it helps me in the producer. My producer mind is kind of creating too much work. My editor is just like, whoa. There's too much here. So instead of just unshipping all these boxes now, whatever's out. I can either, I can pick and choose if they want to, if they go to unboxing, or if they get reviews, or if even if I want to start doing any type of shorts with those, you just do like a 15-second to maybe up to a minute of a short, maybe that's more in line with what people might want to see versus like a 10-minute video of me just babbling on about nonsense that I guess maybe only I'm interested in. I mean, I hope that whatever I'm babbling on about is something that all collectors are into or thinking of or want to know more about. Years worth of stuff didn't take up too terribly much space. The stuff that's been coming in since freaking Thanksgiving has been really taking up a lot of space. And I'm happy to say I have reclaimed a lot of space, but I'm not too sure how much space I actually reclaimed, because instead of a bunch of big boxes, now I have just a bunch of little boxes like taking up a lot of space. And then I have a bunch of cats that like to say, oh, let's push this thing off the edge of the shelf like 50 million times. Let's make sure this thing. Let's eat the lightsabers out of this thing. Technically, I am like saving space because there was one big box. There was one huge box that came, and it was a Star Wars exclusive for this year for Hasbro PulseCon, or maybe was it? Yeah, I think it was Hasbro PulseCon. And this huge box came, and it's just like, oh, I was super excited because it came in the big box. I'm like, oh, this must be huge, Sidetrack is that I when I originally bought it, I thought it was a 6-inch line. I didn't know until after I'd already checked out. It's a 3 3/4 line, which hindsight I probably would have. I think I would rather lean towards the 6-inch line more so than the 3 3/4 line. Good thing is that I was just bitching about scalpers and stuff, but it's like, if I no longer want this in my collection, I can kind of offload it. So anyway, it was in this huge box, and I had no concept of how big this thing was, and I thought it was going to be like the size of the box or whatever. And I open it up, and it's not that big. It's like it took up like a fourth of what that box was, what it was shipped in, and it's like, oh, that's fine. So like as a matter of fact, the box that thing, it was it has a name. I can't remember the name. It's based off of the final scene of season 2 of The Mandalorian, that conclusion of that series, and it's just a recreation of that scene. And you have Din, and you have Grogu, and you have all the bad, pretty much all the bad guys, and I think it's a diorama, so I think you have like a lot of stuff that goes with it. All the Joes that were never unboxed kind of fit in, like all the 6-inch Joes kind of fit in that box. So I went from like a bunch of small Joe boxes that they shipped them one by one. I don't know why they shipped them one by one. They shipped all the Joes one by one. As a matter of fact, just recently, there was 3 Joes, the 3 Joes that weren't supposed to be out until next year, just shipped recently. The Crimson Guard, Dusty, and Zorana shipped early. And I got shipping notifications that they were shipping each one of those individually. But then when I got delivery notification, I only got delivery notification for 2 of them, not 3 of them. 2 of them they put in the same box, and 1 of them shipped alone. And all the damn time, like if it's a wave of 3, if the wave is 3, they always ship 3 separate boxes. So I find it weird that they don't pack them together. I mean, I guess if you lose one, you only lose 1 figure versus losing 3 figures at once. I do have a side note about losing a figure if I have enough time, but so I guess that kind of helps with the space issue. The other thing that I find hilarious is there was this huge box, and it looked like an elephant sat on it. And I looked it over, and it's like, oh, I don't even remember what's in this box. It was Disney. It was marked Disney Store. There's no evidence that I opened the box to inspect the contents. It just was something that came in and just like, oh, I'm just save it for the show, and just threw it in the corner. And I'm like, I don't know what's in this box. What's in this huge box? It's Disney Store, so I'm probably, I was probably getting, there's a lot of the toy box line that I kind of like. So I opened the box, and inside the box are 3 pins that were, one of them was for the May the 4th celebration, so it was May the 4th, 2022 pin, and the other 2 were like Sith and Jedi. They were pins in this humongous freaking box. It's like, you could have put these in an envelope. So I feel like I kind of ranted and raved a lot, but good news is Bestow TV Studios now has some more space. There's that space that was occupied is now occupied by smaller things. The cats are so far surviving Boxpocalypse. They are having the time of their life, and they are enjoying this until they are bored with those boxes. And once they get bored with those boxes, then the boxes will be hauled off to recycling. And until the new boxes come in, and the cats will enjoy the new boxes. So I hope you enjoy your boxes, and I hope that you found anything that you were looking for this Christmas, and I hope, or Hanukkah, or holidays, or Life Day, or whatever you celebrate. I'll see you again for the next episode of BestowCast.